How's it going, guys? So in a recent follower poll, I asked you guys to decide for me which Ben&Jerry's flavor I should recreate. And you guys chose for me to recreate the s'mores flavor. And it just so happens that this particular flavor has just been discontinued. So this one's going to be extra special. And what better way to start off this video than to actually eat some ice cream. So here I'm just going to give it a try. I'm going to try the individual layers. As you can see, they spend a lot of time trying to layer this in, so that way you get a bite of all the different fillings in each spoonful. Now, the first and most prevalent flavor that I got when I first bit into the Ben&Jerry's ice cream was this really rich, toasty marshmallow flavor. And so to recreate that, I'm going to take these mini marshmallows and I'm going to light them on fire, or well, toast them up. And by doing this, I'm really hoping to impart a lot of that toasty marshmallow flavor to the ice cream by, well, adding actual toasted marshmallows. And now that my marshmallows have been toasted to my preferred toastiness, I'm going to start making the ice cream. And I'm actually going to be using a different technique than what I've done in the past. Normally in the past, I've done a frozen French custard kind of ice cream. But for this ice cream, I'm actually going to start off with some cream cheese and I'm going to cream that together with some dark brown sugar. Now, the reason I'm going with dark brown sugar is because I really want to impart that deeper molassesy kind of a flavor into this ice cream. That'll just help really bring out the toasted marshmallow flavor as well. And as you can see, I also whipped up the heavy cream and the cream cheese mixture until it was nice and fluffy. And the reason you want to get it nice and fluffy now is because that's what's going to give your ice cream a real smooth texture later on when you freeze it. And I've also mixed in our toasted marshmallows, and I've really wanted to spend a good amount of time making sure that they were nice and well incorporated. And I'm also going to now fold in our can of sweetened condensed milk. And you want to be a little gentle with this part just because you don't want to knock out all of the air and all of that fluffiness that you've taken the time to work into your ice cream. And now that our ice cream is freezing in the freezer, we're going to start making our graham crackers. And now I'm going to leave a link down in the description below to another one of my videos where I actually make homemade graham crackers, and these come out really, really good. I suggest you guys go check that video out because I'm pretty much doing the exact same recipe here. Also in that video, you're going to see I make homemade marshmallows as well. And you can do it for this, but I decided to just go with the store-bought ones. It's a little bit easier, or well, a lot easier. And while you guys watch me make these graham crackers, feel free to comment down below what kind of Ben&Jerry's flavors are your favorites, and if you want to see me try to recreate them. Psst, my favorite is chocolate chip cookie dough. Anyway, as you guys can see, making your own homemade graham crackers can be a little bit time consuming, but I promise you they come out way better than the store-bought ones in the end. Now, you can also buy the store-bought ones, and that's fine, but like I said, the ones you can make at home are way, way better. And after a good bit of mixing and kneading, the dough still seemed a little bit wet, so I decided to add a bit more flour just to stiffen it up so that way it'll make it easier for us to roll out and bake. And aren't you just happy I didn't say the word moist? And after adding in a few more spoonfuls of flour just to get it to that right consistency that I'm looking for, so that way the dough isn't so wet that it's sticky, but it also isn't so dry that it's crumbling apart. So now that we're there, I'm going to wrap it up in some plastic wrap and put it in the fridge for at least 30 minutes just to let the dough hydrate properly and firm up even more, because the firmer the dough is going to be, the easier it's going to be to roll it out into nice thin strips, so that way we can bake it like a graham cracker. And it's actually funny looking back because I spent all this time making sure that it came out nice and square and that all of my pieces were perfectly rectangular like the graham crackers that you would buy in the store, even though I would end up actually crushing them all up into about a powder anyway. And as always, I have the full recipe and amounts written down in the description below, so now I'm just going to shut up and let you guys watch me make these graham crackers. And I'm back. Now, after baking your graham crackers, before you should even think about adding them into your ice cream or how you want to add them in, you want them to cool completely. So I'll add them to a cooling rack, let them cool down to room temperature, and then maybe even throw them in the fridge just to cool them down even further. But here I've got them nice and cool, so I'm going to crush them up into a nice fine powder and throw them in the fridge to cool down even further. Now, what's s'mores without chocolate? So here I'm actually going to take a dark chocolate bar, and I'm using dark chocolate because those marshmallows are really sweet, and I think the bitterness of this dark chocolate is really going to go well in this ice cream. But after chopping it up, I'm also going to throw it in the fridge just to cool it down a bit, because with this ice cream recipe that I'm using here, it's really high in fat, so that means it'll melt really quickly. So I'm going to actually add in our nice and chilled graham cracker powder here, and the graham cracker powder really is going to impart the flavor of the graham cracker into the ice cream without giving it those chunks. Those chunks I'm going to actually add in later on when we fill up our pint tub. And in the meantime, I'm going to throw this in the freezer, let it freeze for 30 minutes, then I'm going to take it out, give it another good mixing. This is going to make sure we break up those ice crystals because we want the ice crystals to form as quickly as possible, but we also don't want them to form too large, otherwise you'll get a really firm and hard ice cream. But after getting into touch with my more artistic side and creating my own little pint jar, I'm going to start filling it up with our ice cream after it's reached about a soft serve consistency. Now the way I'm going to fill this up, like you've seen me do in the past, is I'm going to add layers of our fillings and ice cream in our pint jar. That way when it freezes, we get those really nice ribbons of the different fillings and the ice cream layers. And I'm actually going to give it a little quick stir here just to break up that large chunk of marshmallows, just because if you have large chunks of your fillings in there, they'll just freeze into little tiny rocks, which is no fun. And speaking of freezing, we're going to cap it and now freeze it overnight. That way it's nice and firm when we take it out. And after its nice long overnight freeze, it's time to compare the two. Now I'm just going to scoop on some of the leftovers that I couldn't fit into the pint on top. And this is where I really need your guys' help. I want you to comment down below which one you think looks better, mine or Ben&Jerry's. And unfortunately, we haven't created Taste-O-Vision yet, but for whatever it's worth, all I can say is this ice cream recipe really gives Ben&Jerry's a run for their money. I mean, this really does taste amazing. Anyway, guys, I really hope you liked this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram for a behind-the-scenes look at my recipe development process, as well as any future polls that I might put up asking you guys what I should create next. Anyway, thanks again. Peace.